Good morning out there, everybody in YouTube land, all my chatters and all my lurkers and all my Memorex viewers that'll watch it later on. Glad to have you with me here on this Friday morning, the 29th day of July, last Friday of July. Man, the year is just flying right on by before our eyes. Time just keeps marching, marching, marching. Wow. Well, I'll tell you what, it's a beautiful day here in Indiana. A little breeze blowing. I've been putting up cherries this morning. I've got a few more to do this afternoon. Some other little chores I got to knock out. The sun is shining. The birds are chirping. And it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. We've got a lot of news to report to you today, so we'll just go ahead and jump right on into it. Let me see here. We've got the first one is off BizPac Review. Claims roll in. Media is faking Dem unity as DNC page cheering seat fillers to pack the House. It says if you're getting your coverage of the Democratic National Convention from TV like most people, chances are you're seeing, with few exceptions, the unified party of delegates coming together to elect Hillary Clinton, their presidential nominee. And according to a growing number of reports, you'd be wrong. The convention discord amounts to be more than a few outbursts from supporters of the Senator Bernie Sanders. Things began unraveling as early as Tuesday, the second day of the convention, when Sanders delegates and supporters staged a walkout and exited the convention floor en masse. Or excuse me, exited the convention floor en masse. It says, related White House, Obama was hugging Hillary at DNC just outside was absolute chaos. The NBC News producer Monica Alba reported as they walked out, they held signs and chanted, "Show me what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like." A young man in the tweet below was taking video near disbelief over mass exodus. This is not voter enthusiasm. This place is half empty all of a sudden. I can't believe my eyes, he said. And then it goes on and says, what resulted was a half-empty convention hall that needed filling fast. At least one man purported to be Sanders delegate returned the following day and claimed that the nearly empty convention floor he found on his arrival was magically filled by what he called seat fillers. It's real. They're in here now, he said. There are a lot of people sitting there who I do not know or have seen the entire time I was here. He said he'd been hearing reports by the media that the DNC was finally coming together in unity, but quickly shot that down with another remarkable statement. It's because the Bernie people aren't here, and the people that are here are getting paid to sit in their seats and clap their hands, he said. Nothing that attendees are also being blocked from, or noting that attendees are also being blocked from getting back in if they leave their seat at any point, even just to go to the bathroom. If his claim had any validity and not a mere accusation coming from a disgruntled and alleged Sanders delegate, how could the DNC fill the position so quickly? According to a growing number of claims on social media, actions are being hired by a Craigslist to fill the stadium and cheer. So I found that interesting, and I found a nice little follow-up article to go along with that. It says, this is off of Fellowship of the Minds. Democratic National Convention calls SWAT team on Bernie delegates. Last night, July 26, 2016, at the Democratic National Convention during the roll call vote, nominee Hillary Clinton as the party's presidential candidate, some Bernie Sanders delegates undertook a peaceful protest in the convention hall with a sit-in, their mouths taped shut. Democratic Party operatives called a SWAT, Special Weapons and Tactics team, on the peaceful protesters. Beginning at the 3:05 mark in the video below, Fox News reported Doug McKelvey said, as you well know, the theme of this convention is united together, but the reality is something quite different. This is ununited and terrible, and not terribly together. We saw further evidence of that last night inside the auditorium when, during the roll call vote and Bernie Sanders moved to nominate Hillary by acclamation, that many of his delegates stormed out of the convention center and they made their way to the media center not far from where we are. They staged a sit-in there, mouths taped shut amongst the reporters. Can you imagine trying to write a story on a deadline under circumstances like that? Well, decision was made to bring in a SWAT team. The SWAT team made the decision to contain the situation by quite literally containing the delegates. And while all that was going on, back inside the auditorium, there was a celebratory feel to the whole affair as Hillary Clinton spoke to the delegates combined by a video hookup. This is just a preview of what America will be under Hillary as president. So I thought that was an interesting little article, and you're not going to see much of that in the mainstream media. So I wanted to bring that to you. All of these URLs are in the description of the video, so you can look at them at your leisure and check out the videos that are attached to them. The next one is off of Grabbing News. Watch Obama refer to himself 119 times during the Hillary nominating speech. Addressing the Democratic National Convention on its preliminary night, to lay out the case for Hillary Clinton's 2016 presidential campaign, President Obama began by recalling his political debut at the 2004 Democratic National Convention. He then described how his family has become so well known to America in the intervening years. He spoke of his time in office, how the presidency has physically aged him, but how his daughters euphemistically note he now looks more mature. He spoke of everything he is proud to have achieved: passing Obamacare, expanding clean energy production, reducing consumption of foreign oil, passing the Iran deal, bringing troops home, killing bin Laden. He spoke of how inspired he's become, meeting Americans of all stripes. He spoke of his optimism. He spoke of values he imparted from his family. If it's starting to sound like Obama talked a lot about himself, that's because he did. In total, we counted 119 times Obama referred to himself during his speech, ostensibly about Hillary Clinton. Note that in arriving at his calculation, we included mentions of we when he was clearly including himself as part of the plural pronoun. The many uses of we in referring to America at large were not included. Me, myself, our, and his third person reference to a half Kenyan grandson were also included. Did we miscount? Feel free to let us know in the comment section. So, nothing like having somebody perform a speech in your honor and talking about themselves the whole time. And the next one's off of the All News Pipeline. It's a horror show. Trump slams Hillary's House of Horrors in scathing press conference. Why hasn't Hillary given a press conference in over 235 days? Very infrequently, I have written back-to-back stories on the same topic, but with the DNC's wasting space in Philadelphia, today will be an exception. While this morning's story shared with you the absolute disastrous start of the Democratic Convention, with Bernie Sanders voters vowing the final nail in the coffin had been driven into their chance of voting for Hillary Clinton following the WikiLeaks DNC disclosures, the story will focus upon Donald Trump's response to the unfolding DNC horror show, as heard in the first video below, and what Hillary's House of Horrors will likely mean for America should she somehow eke her way into office. If Philadelphia has shown us one thing and one thing alone, It's shown us that a large majority of Americans, Democrats and Republicans, believe that Hillary should be in prison rather than running for the highest office in the land. It's not just a coincidence that Hillary for prison and lock her up has gone viral at both the RNC and the DNC. Bernie Sanders voters are as mad as Trump voters had been, and you can hear in the second video below, they totally hate Hillary. However, this story isn't about Hillary, it's about the antidote to Hillary in the White House. The fact that the IRS just opened an investigation into the Clinton Foundation would be a good thing in a fair and just world, but the Clinton email scandal shows us once again that isn't quite the case in 2016 America. As Trump tells us here at the opening, which comes at the 33.35 mark, there is very good reason that Hillary Clinton hasn't given press conference in 235 days. As Trump hesitates in telling us why, my mind immediately thought because she's in a mess, or because she's a mess, before Trump confirmed my thoughts with those very words. So it's been 235 days since crooked Hillary Clinton has had a press conference, and you, as reporters who give her all these glowing reports, should ask yourself why, and I'll tell you why. Because despite the nice platitudes, she's been a mess. Trump continues. You look at what's happened with ISIS, which isn't even mentioned. You look at what's happened with law and order. They don't even mention our police. They mention everybody but our police. They don't even have an American flag. Trump continues to tell us that if he had used the kind of language the DNC staffers loyal to Hillary did in his emails, he would be ripped to shreds by the media and possibly forced to drop out of the race, while Hillary gets a free pass from the bootlicking mainstream media, reporters who handle Queen Hillary with kid gloves. Trump rips apart the rigged system that has left Bernie Sanders voters completely angry and disillusioned, with many having awoken to the fact that Trump is a much better choice for America and their quickly dying dreams than crooked Hillary. If anyone out there still thinks Hillary will bring change to America, Trump reminds them that Hillary has been there for 30 years. There's no change. It's going to be an extension of Obama and in my opinion, worse. There you have it, trolls and those who know better, who love hopping on those pro-Trump stories. If you really want another 4 years of Obama, just keep working to convince people that Trump is just another globalist. You people should really know better. Do your research. The Republican Party of Bush didn't just willingly hand over power to Trump. Trump then bashes Hillary, flip-flopping on the TPP. First she was for it until she saw Trump come out against it. It's a horror show. It's going to kill all our jobs. It's going to be almost as bad as NAFTA, maybe worse, which her husband signed, by the way, which destroyed this country, which destroyed manufacturing in the United States. After telling us that our leaders in Washington, D.C. don't even read the trade agreements that they sign with other nations for you and I, Trump tells us why. It's because we're led by stupid people. Why does Hillary keep changing her positions when she sees Trump getting strong feedback on the same positions? Susan and I cannot wait to see Trump and Hillary debate. There's no doubt in our minds that he'll destroy her. As events of recent days prove to us, Hillary can't even be asked 2 questions at the same time without turning into a bobblehead. Hillary's entire life since coming into public office has been one huge ongoing scandal. Trump, in the meantime, sounds extremely presidential in the news conference, largely sticking to subject and showing us once again why there's absolutely no doubt in our minds who will make a better leader for America. While Trump is now getting slammed by mainstream media bootlickers for saying that he hopes Russia has all 33,000 of Clinton's emails, he tells us here the very hard truth that Americans need to hear. Putin and all other countries in the world have no respect for our country anymore, and they certainly have no respect for our leader. Hillary Clinton in office would be an absolute disaster for America, as nobody I know or I have ever met in my life that I'm aware of, has any respect at all for Hillary Clinton. Do we really think that other countries would, when the American people overwhelmingly hate her? If we think that what we have now under Obama is bad, we haven't seen anything yet. While it's quite true that what is broken in America will take much more than a political fix, there's no way that we'll even be able to begin walking down the road that's necessary by electing the past. Hillary got 30 years of history to back up her failures. As any recovering addict will tell you, repeating the same behavior over and over again and expecting a different result is one definition of insanity. Judging by her past, only Donald Trump now stands between America and Hillary's house of horrors for the next 4 years. We pray that America chooses wisely. And there are some videos associated with this that you might want to take a look at. So you can find the URL in the description of the video. The next one that I have here is while the DNC goes on, so does life in the United States. And let's see. This one's off the Los Angeles Times. 2 San Diego police officers shot, one fatally in a traffic stop, and the suspect is being held. 2 San Diego police officers were shot, one of them fatally during a traffic stop late Thursday night in the South Crest neighborhood, police said. The names and tenures of the male officers, both part of the department's gang suppression unit, were not released. One of the officers suffered multiple gunshot wounds and died at a hospital despite life-saving efforts. Police Chief Shelby Zimmerman said early Friday outside Scripps Mercy Hospital. The second officer underwent surgery early Friday and was expected to survive. Police had one suspect in custody. He had been shot and was being treated at the hospital, Zimmerman said. The 2 officers had pulled over a vehicle about 11 p.m. somewhere in the area of Acadia Grove Way and 36th Street immediately after they called for emergency cover, Zimmerman said. The other officers were in the area and arrived shortly after. They found both officers suffering from gunshot wounds to the upper torso. One was rushed to the hospital, or one was rushed in a police vehicle to a hospital where he died. Interested in stories slapping California, you can sign up for the free Essential California newsletter here on this website. The article goes on and says, despite heroic efforts by officers on the scene and heroic efforts by doctors to save his life, I'm heartbroken to report they were unable to save him and he's deceased, Zimmerman said. She said she went to the home of the officer who died and notified his wife, 2 children, and extended family members who were at the home. It is extremely difficult, but something you have to do, Zimmerman said. There's nothing that prepares you to do that. The wife of the officer who underwent surgery was beside him at the hospital, the chief said. Other family members of the 2 officers had not yet been notified. There was no update on the condition of the suspect, who was taken into custody about 11:30 p.m. in a ravine near South 38th and Alpha Streets. Officers had found a blood trail leading toward him. Police, including officers from many other agencies, swarmed the area and, with guns drawn, searched for any other possible suspects with the aid of a police dog, a helicopter, and SWAT team members. They focused for hours on the Colas Creek open area just south of Arcadia Grove. Residents were asked to stay indoors, and streets were cordoned off for several blocks in all directions. Shortly before sunrise, no other suspects had been found. Many officers from the other police agencies were released from their posts by 4 a.m., and some streets reopened after that. The incident comes as police in Southern California and throughout the country are on high alert following the killing of officers in Dallas and Baton Rouge, Louisiana, earlier this month. The National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund on Wednesday issued a report revealing that 67 law enforcement officers have been killed in the line of duty this year through July the 20th. An 8% increase over the same period last year when 62 officers were killed. Other figures on the Officer Down Memorial page website shown that 19 officers had been slain nationwide in July through Monday. So there you have that article. And the next one that we've got here It's off of Newsweek. Turkey also, or it's, excuse me, Turkey asked Nigeria to close schools linked to Gulen. It says Turkey's government has asked Nigeria to close down 17 Turkish schools in the West African country that it says are linked to Fethullah Gulen, the U.S.-based cleric that Ankara blames for the recent failed coup. Members of the Gulen movement, headed by the cleric, run about 300 schools in Turkey and over 1,000 worldwide. The Turkish ambassador to Nigeria, Hakan Kale, said that all schools linked to Gulen in Turkey had been shut down. He added that it was misleading for the schools in Nigeria to be referred to as Turkish since they had nothing to do with the government in Ankara. Nigeria's Premium Times reported on Thursday. Kale claimed the schools were located in various cities around the country, including the capital, Abuja, the financial hub, Lagos, and northern cities of Kano and Kaduna. Whoops, it's jumping on me. Faction within the Turkish military launched and attempted, well, I wish it stopped jumping all around, my goodness gracious. Hard to keep up with it when it's bouncing. Something in here trying to play too, and we got to get that stopped. Let's see. Okay, I think I got that under control. Well, perhaps not. I don't know. Can't seem to find what it is it's whirring in here. See if I can find what's playing and get it shut down. Something acting up. I don't know what it is. I hate it when they do that. Well, we'll see if we can't just talk over whatever it is really low. Okay. Going back to this article, if I can find where I left off in it, because it's just jumping all over the place. Bear with me. Okay, a faction within the Turkish military launched an attempted coup against the Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan on the night of July the 15th. Major bridges in Istanbul were closed and military helicopters flew over the capital as the faction declared that it had taken control of the country. At least 246 people died during the coup and more than 2,000 were injured. Gulen and his followers were blamed for the coup, with Erdogan accusing them of attempting to create a parallel structure in the country's institutions, including the police, judiciary, media, and armed forces. Gulen, who is based in Pennsylvania, condemned the coup and denied Erdogan's accusations. The cleric has a wide support base in Turkey and a network of private schools stretching across 140 countries. The ambassador made his comments during a visit from Nigerian sector Shehu Sani, the vice chairman of the Senate Committee on Foreign Affairs in Nigeria. KL said that he had contacted Nigeria's foreign minister, Jeffrey Oyema, and the chief of staff to President Muhammadu Buhari, Abba Kyari, to request the closure of the schools. This is an issue that Turkish government has attached so much importance to, said KL, who claimed that the schools were raising funds for illegal activities. This is a matter of national security for us in Turkey. I have instructions from my government to follow up this matter, and we will be very happy to obtain the support of Nigerian legislators on that issue, he said. Nigerian senator did not say categorically whether the schools would closed, but said that Turkey had the right to be concerned about its security. Sani urged Turkish ambassador to use the instrument of democracy, liberty, and constitutional rights to bring to book those suspected of involvement in the coup. Erdogan's government is carrying out a massive crackdown on Gulen supporters. The government has placed tens of thousands of people under suspension or investigation since the coup on Wednesday, dismissed almost 1,700 military personnel, and closed 131 media outlets. So there you have what's going on in Turkey. Let's see here. Get everything caught up on this. All right. Now, the next article that I have is taking a while to load. Oh, here we go with another ad. I wish they'd quit this stuff. Goodness gracious. Okay, this one is off of the Daily Galaxy. And this is what's going on outside the Earth. Similar event within 100 light years of Earth would be catastrophic. Astronomers observed explosion 20 times brighter than all stars in the Milky Way. So for those of you who are kind of into astronomy and, you know, what's going on out in the outer atmosphere, I guess you could call it. It says, for most of 2016, astronomers have been viewing a ball of hot gas billions of light years away that is radiating the energy of hundreds of billions of suns. At its heart is an object a little larger than 10 miles across, and astronomers are not entirely sure what it is. If, as they suspect, the gas ball is a result of a supernova, then it's the most powerful supernova ever seen. Most astronomers today believe that one of the plausible reasons we have yet to detect intelligent life in the universe is due to the deadly effects of local supernova explosions within 100 light years that wipe out all life in a given region of the galaxy. While there is, on average, only one supernova per galaxy per century, there is something on the order of 100 billion galaxies in the observable universe. Taking 10 billion years for the age of the universe, it's actually 13.7 billion, but stars didn't form for the first few 100 million years. Dr. Richard Mushkowski of the NASA Goddard Space Flight Center derived a figure of 1 billion supernova per year, or 30 supernova per second in the observable universe. In June 2015, this flaring spot of light was found by the All-Sky Automated Survey for Supernova, run by the Ohio State astronomers and labeled ASA-SSN-15H, located about 3 billion light years distant. The source appears tremendously bright for anything so far away, roughly 200 times brighter than an average supernova and temporarily 20 times brighter than all of the stars in our Milky Way galaxy combined. The above featured artist's illustration depicts a hypothetical night sky of a planet located across the host galaxy from the outburst. If you walked outside and saw a person who was 6 feet tall and then someone who was 6,000 feet tall, you would notice, says team member Todd Thompson of Ohio State University. You begin to question whether this is even a person. In the January 14, 2016 issue of the Journal of Science, the Ohio State team reported that the object at the center could be a very rare type of star called a magnetar, but one so powerful that it pushes the energy limits allowed by physics. Even in a discipline that regularly uses gigantic numbers to express size or distance. The case of this small but powerful mystery object in the center of the gas ball is so extreme that the team's co-principal investigator, Christoph Stanek of Ohio State University, turned to the movie This Is Spinal Tap to find a way to describe it. If it really is a magnetar, it's as if nature took everything we know about magnetars and turned it up to 11, Stanek said. For those not familiar with the comedy, the statement basically translates to 11 on a scale of 1 to 10. The gas ball surrounding the object can't be seen with the naked eye because it's 3.8 billion light years away, but it was spotted by the All-Sky Automated Survey for Supernova, let's see, it's ASAS-SN, pronounced Assassin collaboration, led by Ohio State. The project uses a cadre of small telescopes around the world to detect bright objects in our local universe. Though Assassin had discovered some 250 supernovae since the collaboration began in 2014, the explosion that powered ASASSN-15H stands out for its sheer magnitude. It's 200 times more powerful than the average supernova, 570 billion times brighter than our sun, and 20 times brighter than all the stars in our Milky Way galaxy combined. We have to ask, how is that even possible, said Stanek, professor of astronomy at Ohio State. It takes a lot of energy to shine that bright, and the energy has to come from somewhere, he says. The honest answer is, at this point, we do not know what could be the power source for Assassin 15LH, said Subro Dong, lead author of the science paper and a youth Quarren research professor of astronomy at the Valley Institute for Astronomy and Astrophysics at Peking University. He added that the discovery may lead to new thinking and new observations of the whole class of superluminous supernova. Todd Thompson, professor of astronomy at Ohio State, offered one possible explanation. The supernova could have spawned an extremely rare type of star called a millisecond magnetar, a rapidly spinning and very dense star with a very strong magnetic field. To shine so bright, this particular magnetar would also have to spin at least 1,000 times a second and convert all that rotational energy to light with nearly 100% efficiency. Thompson explained it could be the most extreme example of a magnetar that scientists believe to be physically possible. Given those constraints, he said, will we ever see anything more luminous than this? If it truly is a magnetar, then the answer is basically no. The Hubble Space Telescope will help settle the question later this year, in part because it will allow astronomers to see the host galaxy surrounding the object. If the team finds that the object lies in the very center of a large galaxy, then perhaps it's not a magnetar at all, and the gas around it is not evidence of a supernova, but instead some unusual nuclear activity around the supermassive black hole. So, if so, then its brighter light could herald a completely new kind of event, said study co-author Christopher Kochnak, professor of astronomy at Ohio State and the Ohio eminent scholar in observational cosmology. It would be something never seen in the center of a galaxy. And there's some other related articles and stuff involved with this if you'd like to take a look at that, but I found that absolutely fascinating. I'm not deeply into astronomy, but I dabble a little bit, and I just find it very fascinating, the things that we don't know about our universe, and our place in it. You know, you stop and think about things like that, you find you're very small. The next article I have is called, it's off of Bitcoin.com. It's called Decentralized Uber App Delivers 1,000 Meals in Austin, Texas. This is, I guess some of you call this maybe a warm and fuzzy story. I like to try to bring something a little enlightening and positive to the broadcast, other than, all the gloom and doom and fighting and fussing and stuff that's going on in the world. And I like this article. I thought it was a good way to round out the week. It says 1,000 meals delivered in Austin. Unsung.org is an application that feeds the hungry by delivering unwanted food from local caterers and restaurants. The application gamifies a solution by adding Bitcoin to the equation, as well as users can be rewarded by the unsung community for good deeds. Back in June, Bitcoin.com reported on the anti-hunger application, Unsung.org, teaming up with the Arcade City platform in Austin to experiment with the Unsung app. Recently, Unsung.org, with the help from the radio broadcast The Crypto Show, teamed up with the Arcade City community. The decentralized Uber platform is a ride-sharing service that partnered with Unsung.org's Jason King, and Arcade City drivers are helping deliver meals across the city of Austin. King's first project, Scenes Outpost, has fed over 167,000 meals over the course of Sachi's Forest existence. Now that platform is being used in Austin to provide 1,000 meals so far to the hungry. King claims via social media. Pay attention to this. This is the 1,000th meal fed to the homeless in Austin, Texas, with unsung.org. And then, let's see, the article goes on and says a community effort. King adds that Austin has been on fire since they teamed up with the drivers from Arcade City. People can visibly see this via the Unsung Austin Facebook page, where all the action is happening. There are hundreds of people helping with the cause, and pictures are displayed of drivers helping out, food being prepared, and unsung.org food bags being delivered. One organizer on the Facebook page writes, "Many thanks to Sarah and company for your generosity. May all of you be blessed many times over. We look forward to dividing these and serving our homeless community on your behalf." 1,000 meals is quite a feat for an operation maintained on social media and just started less than a month ago. Jason King and Arcade City's Christopher David are pleased with what's organically taking place with the Texas Capitol. The Crypto Show has also been involved helping move the process along as they broadcast their show from the Brave New Bookstore located in Austin. The decentralized movement and ideas like Bitcoin are transforming society for the better. Unsung.org is no different, as they utilize both to feed those who are hungry and need a helping hand. Bitcoin.com is pleased to see groups working together to hack hunger, and we look forward to reporting the story of when the Unsung team feeds 100,000 people and more. What do you think about unsung.org delivering 100,000 meals across Austin? Let us know in the comments below. So there you have that article, and I found that refreshing. I mean, in so many places where people are being arrested or fined for feeding the homeless and discouraged from trying to help people that's less fortunate, I found this a very refreshing article. And it's a reminder to count your blessings. You got food in your refrigerator. You got a bed to sleep in and a roof over your head. You're more fortunate than a lot of people. Count your blessings. Be glad for what you have. And if you see somebody that's less fortunate than you, see what you can do to help them. Be kind to people. Try to help wherever you can. And with that, I'm going to close out today's broadcast. I thank everybody for watching, all my lurkers and all my peeps in the chat room. Glad to have everybody with us today. And I hope you have a beautiful weekend. Enjoy yourself. Get out and enjoy the weather and talk to people. Mean what you say when you ask them a question. Don't just, casually ask them, how are you, and blow it off. Look them in the eye and say, how are you? I mean, really, how are you? So with that, we'll close out the broadcast, and we'll see you back here next Monday, noon Eastern time. Have a good one.